You have done the non-awareness set, and I think you've done the full-blown version now. And did you enjoy it? Yeah? Was it easier than if you thought it would be? Do you notice how it's harder when you try and anticipate what they'll say and work something out? It's a lot easier if you're just in the moment and go, okay, whatever that is, just let's say something and then just see what happens, right? Remember, you always have a magic out. If you get stuck, if you don't know what to say next, if you get a sense of you've lost connection with your client, if they mention something, you have no idea how to reframe it as something hypnotic, what do you ask?
What's happening now?
What's happening now? That's your way of reconnecting and starting the whole thing from scratch, right? So now, what is it that we're doing with all of this? Why are we even... Oh, interesting. Why are we even bothering? Why are we here? And this is not metaphysics, guys. You're here to learn to do hypnotherapy, right? So, what does it entail to do hypnotherapy? Why do people have problems? Well, here's an analogy. Here's a metaphor, if you like. Please don't take this as being real. It's just real enough to be able to get a sense of what may be happening and how to deal with it, right? Think of your nervous system as like lights on a Christmas tree. You know, the little fairy lights? And you know they can shine up in different little patterns and stuff like that. Now, when someone has a problem, what ends up happening is you have all these negative states, and it's kind of like a wall, a boundary that develops around them, kind of keeping it together. Now, here's a problem. A certain situation will trigger this part of the nervous system. It's like having like a little Lego set where you can flick different lights on your Christmas tree, and the pink ones light up and the green ones light up, and you have all these little patterns, right? Now, normally it's fine because you can get to any lights from any position, and that's called being resourceful, having options. But what happens sometimes is the wires get crossed, and a little wall builds up around. So when you flick the switch, only one set of lights lights up. Now, if this set of lights only has negative states, negative things in it, negative resources, shall we say, maybe just a few weak positive ones, but nothing really good, well, how are they supposed to deal with the situation? Because the situation comes, it triggers that, and now they're bouncing around in here looking for an answer, but the answer is out here somewhere, right? Do you know what I mean? Here's kind of a visual example of that. You guys will probably be familiar with this already. Do you remember the 9-dot problem? Right? 9 dots. How can you connect all 9 dots with, I think it's 4 lines, without taking a pen off the paper? Is everyone familiar with this? Now, what is the mistake that people make? How do they get trapped? They get trapped because they try and stick within the framework and they go, it's just impossible, you can't do it, right? And what's, of course, is the solution? The solution is you leave the boundaries of wherever it is, however it is done. Oh, something like that. You know it is. You know how it works. There you go. There you go. It's something like that, and okay. I'm working on that. All right. I'm just polishing that one up a little bit. But you get the general idea of what I'm talking about, right? Actually, I think the last one goes this way. That's what it is. There you go. Thank you, unconscious. A little late, but thank you. So this is what's going on inside people when they are having problems. When they have a problem, they're looking inside the wrong part of themselves for the solution. Have you heard the expression, stuck in a rut? They literally are. And the weird thing is, or the unfortunate thing is, the more they bounce around in there, the more they bury themselves into the rat because this wall begins to get more and more solid. And it comes to the point where even the outside resources then start bouncing off. No wonder they're stuck, right? So what we aim to do is to break through that boundary so that this can be here where it does some good and the person has choices again. So the person can have the choice to feel bad and do nothing, but the person also has a choice to feel good and do something. So there's nothing taken away from them. Now, if you're properly resourceful, you can feel bad or you can feel good. Which one are you going to do? Right. So, and sometimes, the negative states will be the appropriate ones and you'll choose those. So you're not limited. It's not like all you can do is be like, yes, I'm happy. Yes, I'm happy. Like, someone put some more energy in me because I'm the Energizer Bunny, right? It's not like you're stuck with one state, one solution. You have choices, because what you're looking to do is dissolve this boundary so everything is free-flowing again. That's what we're designing to do when we do therapy. But there's a problem. How does this get activated? There's a trigger, right? It could be boss's face going, right? It could be an ice cream and you're going, mustn't, but it's so good, right? It could be anything. So there's a trigger that triggers that, and then you get stuck in the loop. Here's the problem with triggers. Something happens, and the unconscious kind of locks onto it and goes, this is something significant. And time passes. Then another thing similar enough to it happens, that the unconscious goes, oh, here's another one of those. And it has the same reaction. And then there's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, until 20, 30 years later, a little problem has grown into a big problem. But it gets even more difficult. Why? Especially as you work with clients, what happens? They come in, and they come with this whole thing. And they tell you, I want to solve all of this at once. But they didn't build it all at once, did they? You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. They build it over a series of time. Now they have all these different reference experiences. And when they try and resolve it, they're suddenly trying to resolve a 20-year history all in one go. And they have like hundreds of experiences that they just get overloaded by the whole thing. And they go, oh, I can't do it, it's just too much. That's where the negative hypnosis comes from. This is a reasonable problem. Of course it is. You know, it's like someone saying, here's a spoon, there's a mountain, you have 5 minutes. It just doesn't work. So the point of being a hypnotherapist is to practice something which has been labeled in London, when we did the seminar in London, we decided to call it a Roman therapy. It's called a Roman therapy because what did the Romans do? They had relatively small armies, and they took over nations. How? Divide and conquer. Sometimes they actually end up winning the battle, one battle, over one small little piece, but actually end up conquering the whole territory, even though the bigger army was still running around, because they knew which battles to fight. And our job as hypnotists is to know which battles do we fight and which ones do we leave alone. We can't take all of this at once, but we can take one event and blow that out. Then we can take another event and blow that out, and another event and blow that out. And eventually the unconscious mind goes, hang on a second, I know what you're doing. And it'll do the rest all by itself. But the other way to do it, and this is something we'll come on to more tomorrow, is to take out the root and then let that grow the same way the problem did initially. So those are two essential ways that we can do our work. We'll talk about that more tomorrow, but I want to talk about this one right now. You see, the key thing you want to do here, this is the way to get yourself out of the rut that they're stuck in, is rather than dealing with all the problems at once, which you simply can't do, is to get them to focus in on one. When was an example of it? What happened? So one specific moment. Now, did you hear me at any point in the last 3 days nailing people down to one specific moment when they told me there's just so many I could choose from?